All right, guys, so here's what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to work through one of the problems that's going to be on the assessment. For some of these, it's pretty easy to do, but we didn't talk about how to do others of them. And on the exam, there's no picture included. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to do vertex, domain, range, roots if there's no picture included, and then what to do for the increasing and decreasing intervals. All right, so I just need you guys to go ahead and pay attention to this video and then go through and work through all the problems on the document. If you have questions about it, let me know before you enter the Google form. It's very important that you do not enter the Google form until you're ready to submit the answers because that is a one-time only chance. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what we have to do here. So let's say we have an equation and it's given to us as f of x is equal to x squared plus 12x minus 8. You may also see y equals x squared plus 12x minus 8. The assignment I took this from said x squared plus 12x equals 8. Okay, so I actually just modified this equation to make it usable. Pay attention, if it says equals 0, that's also fine. Just plug in a y where it says 0 instead. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to use a graphing calculator. If you do not have access to one, there are browser versions available. All right, so this is the most popular graphing calculator on the internet right now, and it's called Desmos.com. So you're going to go to Desmos.com and click Start Graphing. And all you're going to do is here on this, where it says 1, you're going to enter your equation. You're going to put y equals x, and then we're going to look for our math. All right, so the way we get squared x, caret, which is this little button right here. Okay, that is going to be our exponent. And then we're going to arrow out of that. All right. And it was plus 12x minus. All right. So you can't see it right now, the whole equation. So we're going to zoom out. We'll just hit the minus. And you need to be able to see the vertex as well. So here, if you click on the vertex, it will tell you what it is. So it's -6, -44. Okay. And it gives me all the three important pieces of, or all four important pieces of information as dots are ready. So as you can see, there's already a dot for both roots, which are hard to see on this zoom, and for the y-intercept, which is -8 because it's the last number in the equation. So let's go ahead and write down our vertex, -6, -44. All right, and then we'll talk about the domain. Now, for all of our equations that we're working with, if you are doing a quadratic equation, then the domain should be all real numbers, all real numbers. And the reason for that is we can keep zooming out on this equation, and although it looks narrow, 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 eventually it will hit every single x value because as you go higher on your y values, your x values will get further and further away from the x-axis or the y-axis. So the x values will be every single one of them. But the range, remember, is all of our y values. And this was a positive a value, so that means it smiled, it looked up, opened up. And then we have a vertex with a y value of -44. So the range here would be all real numbers greater than or equal to -44. Okay, so we should also pay attention to how to write that in interval notation. So remember we have a bracket because that means it's included for -44. That's our lowest value. And it's going up to infinity, and then close that with a parentheses because the infinity can never be actually included. Now the next question says root or roots. Now remember, if it touches the x-axis and turns around, then it only has one root. If it touches crosses the x-axis, turns around, comes back, and touches it, crosses it again, it has two roots. If it does not touch the x-axis at all, it has no real solutions, in which case you are dealing with imaginary numbers if you're looking for a root there. So that's something to pay attention to based on how it looks on the graph. Now, I'm looking at this one. It definitely has two, and we can see that they are here at 12.63, -12.633, and at 0.633. So what I would do is I would write these as ordered pairs, negative 12.633, comma 0. That's one ordered pair. And the other ordered pair is 0.633, comma 0. Okay? I would do it like that. Also, you could put x equals negative 12.633 and 0.633. Those would also be acceptable, but I would go ahead and put them as ordered pairs to cover your bases. All right. So the next one we have is for intervals increasing and decreasing. So what that means is that we want to know when on the graph, when you're looking at the graph, if you follow it from left to right, where is the graph going up for increasing and where is the graph going down for decreasing? All right, so if we look at this graph right here, we can see that from left to right, it first goes down until we get to negative 44 at the y value, and then at negative 44, it turns around and goes back up. All right, so it doesn't really matter which order you answer these two questions in. If it's a positive, if it's positive, so it's smiling, so it opens up, I would do decreasing first and then increasing. If it opens downward, like a frown, then I would personally do decreasing or increasing and then decreasing, just from left to right, whichever is easier. So let's talk about the interval that is decreasing because this one was a positive A, so it opened upward, so it decreases first. So the interval it's decreasing is going all the way to from x equals negative infinity. And then it goes to negative 6. That's the x value where it turns around. And then interval it's increasing is going from negative 6, and that should have a bracket because it's included, to positive infinity. And remember, infinity always has parentheses because it is not included because it's not a number. All right, so remember these intervals that are increasing and decreasing refer to the x values. The x values will go, so you go, usually one will always be negative infinity and infinity, and then the x of your vertex will be in the middle, just depending on which way is increasing and which way is decreasing, okay? So just make sure you're paying attention to that, and that way you can answer the question correctly. Luckily, on your test question, it is multiple choice, so you'll be fine with that. Now, the other thing I would like to suggest is that on the test question, it is going to be, there's a second equation that you're going to look at. So when you get to the question that gives you an equation and says which of these graphs is the correct one, just graph the equation and see which one matches. They're pretty obviously different. The equation will be in vertex form, so just remember that the in parentheses will be the opposite of your h value, which is your x value for your vertex, and after the parentheses will be your k value, which will be the y value of your vertex. So that's also another way to compare them. That's all you should need to know for this question. If you have any other questions about where I got the numbers, how I got this information, please go ahead and comment or send me an email, okay? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.